So today we're going to talk about getting out of debt, and we're going to talk about the debt snowball. So if you're ready to get out of debt, stay with me. And in this video, I'll show you how the debt snowball works and how to get out of debt with money you are currently spending or with a side hustle. I'm John Alford, and this will be a faceless video. I've been shooting what we call granddad videos, just where I'm talking to the camera. But today I'm going to do a faceless video because I want to show you some PowerPoint slides that I use when I'm teaching getting out of debt, the debt snowball, in one of our money mindset classes. So let's get right to it. We're going to first, I want to talk to you about finding hidden money and how to get out of debt with likely money that you're already spending or with a side hustle that you can start and make $100 or $200 a month. So, you might be saying, if I want to get out of debt, do I have to give up my whatever it is, right? Uh, a date night with your spouse or partner, going out and having a couple of beers with the guys, your hobbies, and I hate to say that sometimes we have to do that, but let's try to find the hidden money that you don't have to do that before we make drastic changes. Now we do have to stop building debt, stop increasing our debt to get out of debt. So you may have to give up a few things to do that. But let's talk about what we call the funnel program. And where is your money hiding, and what can you do with it? You might be spending money just to maintain your debt. You might be eating out a little bit too much. You might always have to have the latest and greatest electronics. You might have too many subscriptions to services and you're not using those. Or, I hate to say it, but the lottery, I call the lottery a tax on people who are bad at math. And it's fun to play every now and then, but, usually we don't win doing those kind of things. And we maybe should look at that. But let's talk about the funnel program. You've probably heard of refinancing your mortgage to get a lower payment. Now that's not as easy to do right now as it was a few years ago, since interest rates have come up. But at the same time, you could refinance your mortgage, extend the payment, especially if it's only a year or two old. You may actually have a lower payment now if you refinance your mortgage. But using our funnel program, we refinance all of your finances. And you can see on the screen there, are you possibly paying too high a deductible in your car insurance, for example? Are you, not maximizing health insurance coverages where, we were able to get one of our daughters covered in a free plan while she was a full-time student. You may have duplicate coverage between you and a family member, and it may be better to change how you're paying for your insurances. Taxes, right? This is tax season right now, and it's fun to get a big tax refund. But do you know that if you're getting a tax refund, you have loaned your money to the government from anywhere for 4 months to 16 months, and you haven't earned any interest on it. So we don't want to get in trouble with our taxes, and we don't want to owe too much at the when we do our taxes for the last year. But if you're getting a big refund, maybe you could change your withholding and have money to put toward getting out of debt. Retirement savings, well, if you're getting a match in a 401k, that's excellent. That's the way that you should do it because that's free money. But if you're putting too much money toward retirement and only earning 4 or 8 or 12%, and then if you're getting, you're paying credit cards at 18 or 24%, possibly paying too much into your retirement too early is not the best thing. Obviously, we want to get rid of the credit card debt. There's a possibility you could roll that over into 0%, and then at the same time, use the snowball to get out of it. College loan debt is the big killer. We work with a partner company that helps maximize people's college loan savings using the federal programs, using it completely legally. We're not going to get you in trouble there. We're not saying file bankruptcy or not pay your debts. But there's so many programs where you can get either a loan reduction, called an income-based payment plan. You could get it reduced, or you could even get it forgiven. They usually, when we run our funnel program, we find anywhere from $250 and more. I helped a friend and a client save $385 primarily from her college loans. So, if you found $385, the ability to, accelerate the credit card debt snowball would be intense because I'm going to show you how to do it at a much smaller level than $385 a month. Hey, so far, I know I haven't really gotten to the debt snowball yet, but if you found this information interesting and helpful, and you find the information I'm about to talk about with the debt snowball, then, please hit that like and subscribe button. You can check my channel out. There's lots more financial literacy information. There's a whole financial playlist of information that could help you with your personal finances. So what if there's still more month than money? Well, you may be able to start doing overtime. You may be able to become a referral partner or an affiliate, and those vary from small items where you might make 1 or 2 or 3%, like as an Amazon affiliate, Two, you could get a significant amount, up to 40 or 50%, from certain marketing and referral partners. That's just one of the side hustles. You could start a side hustle, a part-time job. You could start a small business. You could write for the internet. There's a couple of sites that'll pay you to publish articles. Either they'll pay you a flat rate or pay you per click. I take advantage of that, and I made $152 last month just publishing and with old articles and here on YouTube. If you got, in the YouTube partner program, you could always have a garage sale, or that picture on the bottom left is what's called a boot sale, from the British concept of the trunk in their car is called a boot, where you could sell things on Craigslist, OfferUp, or eBay to try to find that extra money for the debt snowball. And real quick, before we get into the debt snowball, let's talk about debt. That there are good debts and then there are bad debts. We can be hawkish about getting out of debt, but at the same time, there is a time to have good debts. Companies and investors use debt as leverage and use other people's money to accelerate their investments. You can't build a large commercial building, or you can't start a business sometimes with your own money, or try to buy a house, especially out here in California, with cash. There's no way could do that, unless you inherited like $1 million. So you would have to use debts. So there's certain debts, and then the whole idea of using other people's money and leverage is, can you get a better return than the interest rate? The challenge there is, usually credit cards and other things like that are very expensive money, and there's it's really hard to do a better interest rate than what you're paying on a credit card. So let's talk about getting out of debt with the debt snowball plan. So the debt snowball works just like a snowball rolling down a hill, that, as the snow rolling down the hill, as a snowball gets bigger and bigger and becomes an avalanche, that, you end up having this big pile of snow coming down the hill. Then uh, same thing with getting out of debt. You start small, but then as you continue to pay debts off, the snowball gets larger and larger and pays off your debt more and more quickly. So what we do for the debt snowball is, you set up all the debt that you have, and in this example, the person has 4 debts, and you set them up from the smallest amount to the largest amount. The reason you do this is, in the debt snowball, you want to get the snowball building as quickly as possible. In the debt avalanche method, it's a little different. You start at the interest rates, and so you pay a little bit less interest under the debt avalanche. But I like the debt snowball because you get the positive reinforcement that you've paid your debt off, and you start paying off debts quickly. I'll show you that in this example. So you get a reward and you get that dopamine, feel good hit. So in this case, the person has 4 debts. You've seen them on the screen now for a while. The minimum payments are there on the screen, and we need to find a way to make an additional payment. That gets our snowball going. In this case, let's go for $200 a month. So we apply the $200 a month to the first debt, which is the smallest debt, is the Lowe's credit card at 450. So the first month you make a payment of an extra $200, paying 250 total, and it will take you 2 months to pay off the Lowe's credit card, and you'll have a little bit extra left over that month to celebrate your win, probably about $50. Well, while you were paying that debt off, you made two more payments to all the other debts. So you paid the Target loan down a little bit, you paid your parents down a little bit, and then you paid the Visa card down a little bit. And then we really get our snowball going. So we take the $30 that we had been paying to Target and we add the 250 from the amount we've been paying to Lowe's, and now we're going to be paying $280 a month. And it will take us, because we've paid a little bit off on the Target loan, it'll take us 2 more months, because we only would have owed 560. My slide's a little off. And so after 4 months, you've now paid off the Lowe's card and the Target card. Now's where the snowball becomes very fast, because now we've paid $200 more to the loan to our parents, but instead of only paying $200, we pay $480. Now you see I've gone back up to the original amount here, but we've been paying it down, so we only have to pay 2 more months to finish paying the parents off. And again, there'll be a little bit extra left over in month 6 to celebrate paying off another loan. Here's where the debt snowball becomes really powerful, because we're now at the point where we're paying $510, right? We've added up all of our payments and the extra $200 a month, and you're paying $510 a month to the Visa. It'll take you a little over 3 months to pay that off, and in less than a year, you have become debt free from having those 4 debts. Well, I want to add a little bit more realism, and I really want to show you how the debt snowball can turn your finances around long term. Let's say before we started the debt snowball, you had to get a new truck or a new to you truck. You went out and bought a used truck, and it was $40,000, which is about reasonable for a, nicely loaded but also well maintained truck in the used market. They're very expensive now, because you traded in your $5,000 nearly dead beater to get this truck. Your payment is $750 a month. That sounds like a lot, but that is about the average car payment nowadays. It's going to take you 6 years to pay off that $40,000 truck at $750 a month. You're going to end up paying almost another $10,000 or $15,000 for the truck. Well, let's run this forward. You're now 20 months into the loan, and you owe $26,900 still for the truck. But if you take the debt snowball payment of $510, you add that to the $750 that you've been paying for the truck, my math says it'll take you 21 and a third payments to pay off the truck. So even if even if you need to take a break in there, and it takes you 24 months instead of just over 21 months to pay the truck off, you've paid the truck off in 44 months instead of 60. Here's where getting out of debt can make such a huge difference, and why many people say if you have credit card debt, you should pay that off before you start investing in savings, other than that match that you get for free at work. Because let's say then you can invest the $1,260 that you were paying to the truck for 10 years. Even if you only got 5% interest, which to me is a very low interest rate with some of the financial vehicles that I help educate clients on, and you'll see in my other videos, if you invested $1,260 a month for 10 years at 5% tax free, you would have $200,979. Now, this is going back to the start of our debt snowball. So remember, this is about, 10 years and, 4.5 years to get out of debt, including the car and the debt snowball. So it'd basically be 15 years from now. But instead, and I know that seems like a long time, but time is going to pass anyway. And, you would have gone from having, credit card debt and the truck loan to now you have almost $201,000. And all you did was find an extra $200 a month, either from working a little bit of overtime, creating a side hustle, or just tightening up your finances a little bit. So, having some finances is simply a matter of making the right choices and the right decisions over time and letting money work for you. I think I have one or two more slides. We do have financial storms in life, so you need to have an emergency account, but we don't have to solely focus on that. You might, one thing that I've done when I didn't have a large emergency fund is I kept a credit card with no balance on it, and we only kept it in case we needed $2,000 to $5,000 in an emergency, and then we would discipline ourselves to pay that card off. So, be flexible, make adjustments along the way. But if you have that emergency fund and you can get a debt snowball going, uh, really go after it, get out of debt. The credit card companies don't want that to happen, but do what you can. I just talked to a young lady today that she figured that out. She had a credit score when she went to buy a car of 525, which is pretty bad. But she made the right choices, got herself out of credit card debt, and is doing quite well now. So that wraps it up for today. Again, hope you found this interesting. Please feel free to share it. Please feel free to comment if you would like more information on a debt snowball, maybe a copy of that spreadsheet to see how easy it is. A friend of mine actually set hers up with Chat GPT, and she had AI. She just entered her debts and said, I want to be out of debt. And she actually gave it a date instead of a payment amount. But you can do that using AI, or you're welcome. We can connect and I'll help you with getting a spreadsheet set up if you need to. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening, and have a great rest of your day.